Hello everyone, my name is Timothy Lee Grant and welcome back to another video where we are continuing to try to learn how to become a back-end software engineer through a project. So this project is not trying to be useful, it's not trying to be impressive, no, none of that. The only purpose of this project is to be able to help us learn those concepts that are important specifically within back-end software engineering. So give us a little bit of exposure to what are these topics, what's important, how do you use them, and then actually play around with those concepts and get some experience using them. So let me make myself a little bit smaller, and now let's look at what we have. So this is what I was doing in the last video, and I was able to create it was actually ChatGPT right here created this web page, which is here. So I just copy and pasted it, okay? And now I have this web page. Now, let's see what it does. Let's try to understand it, and then let's dive in and really look at exactly how it's doing it. Okay, first step is get something that works. It's working. Then next step is to really go in and hone in on how it's working, why it's working, and figure out all of that information that we can extract from it and learn from. Okay, so I think that this web page is really cool because when I come here and load it, right, it displays all of the people in my MongoDB database. So it just automatically displayed it. Then what I can do is I can come here to a individual, a person, and then press this delete, and watch, it's going to automatically delete them, refresh the page, and I get a brand new page. Watch this. Do I want to delete? Yes. Bam! There's one less person there. And then if I come here to, this is all people, right? If I refresh this, there's going to, I don't know which one I deleted, but one of them is going to be gone. Watch this. Ha! And one is gone. Okay, so really cool, but I don't know how it's doing it. And that's what we are going to be investigating in this video. So we're going to go through this web page here and try to figure out how is it working. Okay, we got something that works. Now let's figure out how and extract all of the information that we can from this working golden copy. Okay, so this is obviously just an EJS file, which is essentially HTML, but you're able to pass in parameters. Now, what was the parameter that we passed in? It was this one, okay? So this right here is router.get, and then who gets deleted. So that was this up here. Who gets deleted, right? Or who to delete, I should say. Who to delete. And then we come in here, we have this people object, okay, that we get from this model. And this is the way that we are able to interact with the MongoDB database. So this is just, we're exporting the MongoDB schema database, and we get back that collection. So this is a people collection, right? And I'm able to perform this find operation, which finds all of the people, okay? Or I should say all of the items in that collection, okay? And I get back this all peoples object. Now, something that I don't exactly know is how is it actually stored? Like, what does this all people actually look like? That's a very good question. Console.log, and then what do I want to do? All people. So I'm just going to see what this looks like, and I'll reload this page and then see. Did it run? Yeah, I think it did. Okay, so this is what it looks like. At least you hit the endpoint. Okay? And then I get a list. Okay? A list of Now this is not a JSON. It is a JavaScript object. Okay, so I get a list of JavaScript objects, and each field is like key value pairs. Okay, so like ID and then the ID value. These ones I kind of, all of these were when I didn't know, all of these were when I didn't know what I was doing, and so I was entering in bad data essentially. So that's why there's just an ID here. But let's kind of look at this one. This one is one that was working, that I'm able to input data in correctly. So it has the ID like the other ones do. Okay, cool. But then it also has fields such as person name and person age, okay? And that's what we see here. And those match up to like person name and person age here, okay? And string and number, okay? So that's what we are actually capturing with this all people. All right, and then we come here and we render this web page, this HTML essentially, and we pass in a parameter called people and then all people, and this is like a JavaScript object right there as well. Okay. All right, so now what do I want to do? I want to look how this is actually capturing. So I'm doing this person dot and then person name. Okay. So I know in EJS, if you have these like brackets here, with the percent sign, this is where you're actually like passing in information. Or this kind of means like, hey, this is a variable. So this people is must be like the variable name, and then this is the actual object. So I can interact with this object calling like people. So people, and then wait, hold on. Is this the one that div class person dot ID person, because this isn't people, this is person now, but that's passed in here. Okay, for people for each. Okay. There's a lot of stuff going on in this little thing, and then now we need to actually, then we'll have to look at this. Okay, so I get this body. Where does body end though? Body ends right here, okay. H1, this is going to be this title right here, all people, okay, and then div equals ID, people list, so I'm just creating like a section, which is the list of all of these people here, okay. And now what I'm doing is okay. Let's just put this in here. Can you go over this line by line and explain what is happening? All right. So absolutely, this is a great example of EJS, embedded JavaScript templating. let's walk through this snippet line by line, demystifying both the HTML and EJS parts. Okay. So div ID equals people list. Okay, this creates a container in your HTML that will hold all of the individual person entities. Okay, yeah, so that's that big section. Okay. Okay. This one. So yeah, it's like a... Okay. This is EJS syntax. It tells the templating engine loop through the people array, and for each person, output the following HTML. Okay. Is done for JavaScript code, not output. So people is expected to be an array passed from your server, which it is. That's what we saw here, and it has all of these JSON objects. Okay. Which is exactly what we did, right? But like, why do we have this little thing here? Because if it was just like people dot for each, okay. Here's the closing bracket down here, I guess. And then we're creating a new div, which is of class person. So all of those little items are going to be of class person. And then it's going to have an ID of the database's ID. So it's going to have an ID of this. So that is now the HTML ID of that div. And it's the same as the database div. Okay. I guess I'm just confused about like what are the rules of when you put this ending and when do you, like, where do you put it? Because it just randomly has the semicolon here. It's not like, why is this not right here or right here or right here or right here or right here? Like, what by which rules are we playing by? Okay. All right, so div class person ID and then get the ID. So like this one makes sense, right? Like here's the ending quotes and here's the, right here is the, here's the starting and here's the ending, right? That makes sense because it's surrounding a variable. But this is not surrounding a variable. It's like an entire expression here. And then inside of a function call, but then we don't close that function call. And we don't even, like, not much about that sentence makes sense. So this prints the person's name in bold. So again, this EJS and then equals, EJS percent equals to inject the actual value of ID. Yeah, so wait, hold on. Why did we not have an equals up here? something equals, right? What is the difference, and are there more? Okay. So, to inject the actual value of ID, whatever, okay. The EM dash is just a virtual punctuation for readability. Where is that? Here. What does that correspond to on my people? Oh, okay. It's just that. Prints the person's age. So here's another equal. So age here, and they get the age. Okay. Company, get the company. And this is open percentage and equals. Okay. Button, and then we create a button which on click does delete person, and then within that I pass, oh my goodness, okay, I pass in a string here, a string with the variable of the ID. So it's a string of the ID variable. Okay, good. And then that button is called delete, and then it will call the delete function down below in the scripts. Okay, that's fine. Closes the for each loop. So we still need to know, like, what is the rule here and here? Because I didn't really understand why. It's not really just like a variable. We're not just passing in a variable. These are just like, this isn't a variable right here. It's ending these like things up here. So what's the difference between, let's first look at this. So this is at the heart of how EJS templates work. Here's the breakdown. So first off, I have the percentage sign code and then percentage sign. So runs JavaScript without output, okay? Okay. Percentage sign with the equals and then a value, runs JavaScript and outputs the result. Okay, and then percent sign minus value. So these two are values and this one is code, which I guess kind of actually does make a little bit of sense, right? Percentage sign, or I should say percentage sign, nothing, and then this part is code. That actually is legitimate. And then everything else in here was percentage sign equals and then a value, right? Like percentage sign equal, and then this is a value, and then we're closing out that value. Same thing here, and then we're closing out that value, closing out that value. And then this one is just a button, which, okay, that's normal like HTML. Percentage sign equals and then a value. Okay, then this one is percentage sign no equals with more code, and this code kind of like goes up here, but how does it know to connect those two? Maybe it just like EJS renders everything, and whenever it sees this right here, it knows, hey, this is code, and then looks for, just like puts all of the code sections together. Possibly that's how it's happening. So logic only. So we have here for this here, okay, item, so do something here. You don't want the code itself to render, just the output inside. Okay, that kind of actually makes sense. So I'm just gonna try to ask it a question to just make sure that I understand how it's operating. So the EJS, here percentage, and then percent sign closing, will allow me to put JavaScript code inside of the HTML to allow me to generate multiple items inside of the HTML. Okay. Isn't this what the script section of the page is? I can't remember, but I thought there was other ways of doing this as well. So I can't remember how, but I thought you could have other methods for creating multiple items within an HTML file. Okay, so you're spot on. This is EJS, lets you embed server-side JavaScript directly onto your HTML. That's how you're able to loop through a list of people conditionally, show content, or compute values before the page is sent to the browser. But yes, you're on the right track. There's a big distinction between EJS code blocks and the script tag. Okay, so EJS versus script. Okay. EJS runs on the server and script runs on the browser, so the client. So the purpose of EJS is to generate HTML dynamically before I actually send it over to the client. So the script interacts with the page after it loads. Okay, so EJS has server-side variables like the person that I passed in. So browser APIs, so the script has browser APIs. It has the document object model, the window, the fetch like method to do like post requests and stuff like that. Okay. Okay. So, other ways to generate HTML dynamically. Yes, here are other techniques you might have seen or used. So, client-side rendering with JavaScript frameworks. So, using React, Vue, or Angular. I haven't touched any of those. I've heard about them, but I haven't touched them. To build HTML inside of the browser, vanilla JavaScript. So adding elements to the DOM using document, create element. So I think I heard about this one. Inner HTML injection. So setting element in. Okay, so here's another one that I vaguely remember seeing that inner thing, but I just don't remember where. Handlebars. Okay, Susie has mentioned about handlebars. I don't know what they are. I need to look into that. But I remember Susie talking about handlebars. Each one shines in different contexts. EJS is great for simple server rendering pages. Okay. So I'm gonna have to look into these three later. Not now. Not now. Okay, so I think I kind of understand this. It's just create this right here. It's creating a div for the list, like people list, right? And then this is just saying like, hey, I'm about to give you code. And then this is also, hey, I'm about to give you code. It just like essentially concatenates this. And then inside of this, we do like, we run this section here this many times, and we pass in this person, right? And now I have access to person. And then I'm just creating, first off, I'm taking this person name, I'm getting the person's name, and then I'm putting a dash. So let me check to see if that's true, right? Yep, person name, which is bold, and then a dash, and then I'm doing age, and then printing the age, and company, and then printing the company. But we didn't actually implement company correctly, so that's why that's not showing. Okay. Which is what we do here, and each element, like each element here, has a identification which is equal to the person's identification which is in the database. Okay. All right. So now, if the person presses delete, we are going, or delete here, we are going to come to the delete person function, okay? And here it is. So it's an asynchronous function, and we pass in this ID. So we're passing in a string, which is the ID of the element, which is the ID of the database member. Okay. And then I send out a thing to say immediately, like if not confirm. So I'm guessing this confirm is going to be some kind of, that's that little alert that we were seeing. And then if not, so if we return no back to the confirm, it will just return without doing any of these. But if we say yes, then it will come down here. It will do a fetch response to this API endpoint and pass in the ID and send that over. And all I need to say is that it's a delete operation at this endpoint. And that is down here that I created. So it sends information here. I will find the ID based off of the URL, okay? And I delete it. And then I will send back a response saying either the person was not found or, hey, it's been deleted successfully, or you got an error. Okay. So So I understand that. Now, if response dot okay, so I'm checking the response to this fetch. If that was okay, then what do? Document. So this is how we can dynamically change the web page. And then query selector. Okay. Here's another interesting thing that I've heard this word before, but I don't know exactly what it means. We're going to have to look into that. Query selector. And then we remove that element. Okay. What is this? Data dash ID. Okay. So I understand what it does because I see the result when I press delete and then do OK, but I don't know how it's operating. What is going on here? Okay, so there's a lot of power packed into that one line. Let's dissect it step by step. Okay. So document.query selector and then all of this. This uses template literals, backticks, and this $sign with the curly brackets to dynamically create a CSS attribute selector. Okay. So data ID, it's looking for an element with the data ID attribute equal to the given ID. Okay. But why are there brackets there? Person ID. This is data ID. I don't see data ID anywhere here. But I don't see data ID anywhere on this page. And why is it in these brackets? And yeah, that's about it. Okay, you won't literally see data ID in your browser because it's part of the rendered, but it's not in the HTML. Like, yeah, that's awesome right there, but that's not part of here. Oh, yes it is. It's right there. Oh. Okay. Obviously, I'm pretty tired. Okay, there it is. Okay, data ID. Awesome. Great. Why is it in the brackets? This is a CSS attribute selector used in JavaScript via query selector. Okay. So the square brackets are standard syntax for selecting an element with specific attributes in CSS. Okay, so why is it CSS and not HTML? It's equivalent to saying div here. Why is this CSS and not HTML? And one that helps clarify modern web pages are built. So we have this HTML. The attribute is written in HTML, but when we wrote this right here, which is what? This right here, this one line here, okay. It's not written in HTML. Okay, we're referring to it by using CSS syntax to select an element by attribute. So HTML is the markup, the actual content and structure. So CSS or CSS selectors, even when used in JavaScript, are ways of describing which elements you're targeting based on attributes. So tags, okay, so like the classes, that's just CSS. That's like, oh, which makes sense because when I have my CSS, where is it, in static? Where is that? Or public? When I have this, I use like H1 or like body or whatever. And then here, okay. So I can like grab it based off like data ID. Okay. Would I be able to like if I wanted to grab that element in the CSS and change its color to green, how would I do that? Okay, so we should be able to do it from just like right here. Okay. Okay, let's just try that. Like, take this. Why'd everything go white? Okay. But I don't want a specific one. Yeah, I just want data ID. Data ID, okay? And then I want color is green. Okay. If you only want style person element, let's see what happens here though. Like, aha! So it did work. Did work. Okay. Interesting. Huh. Well, we learned a little bit more about CSS as well today. If you only want to style person elements with this, you can combine the selectors. Okay, that's fine. So we were right here. So we're grabbing that element, the data ID, which is matching this ID, okay? And then we're removing it from our document, which apparently dynamically does it. Okay. And then that's our web page. Nice. Okay. Well, today we didn't, today I made 3 videos. We actually made a lot of progress today. But in this specific video, we didn't write any code, but I feel like we did do a lot of understanding of this concept and made some pretty big steps forward in our understanding. And then in the next video, I think I will, I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. So we just did deleting of an element in the database. I'm not sure what else we're going to be doing. So I need to think of other topics that I can try to force into this project that will help me reinforce those back-end software engineering skills. Yes, because I don't know what I need to do from here. I know that I need to eventually do something with like SQL. Oh, MongoDB, I have not connected different collections. So I want to have a people collection and a company collection, and then people can have companies that they work for. I still need to do that. But then after I do that, I'm not sure where I'm going to be moving forward. Yeah, I still have a lot of things that I need to think about, what skills I need to do. Um, yeah, I'll try to figure this out. Anyways, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the day. If you enjoyed watching this video, subscribe and join me on this journey. And I hope everyone, yeah, I already said I hope you have a wonderful day. Anyways, my name is Timothy Lee Grant, and goodbye.